Zulu and they other check in. Another one on the ground. We have a document right now more run through the eye and the item. You see me? The one I name how to avoid being deported. We know Donald Trump and Father Marco Rubis is not really my father, but we call him father because he's going like him one of them church priests there. Like Father Olang travel all about the place, say he's doing missionary work and a mission. Some reason or another them they on a mission. But what they have the documentation and show ones and ones how to avoid getting deported from America. Cause a whole heap of people are link me and I tell me say, yo, the paperwork no tree straight and them don't have to get caught up in one situation ending up on a plane where Donald and him friends them send him go back in the land where him come from. You see, pray. So what they are, all the people have me tell us link me and we have a documentation where I take my time out for put together. So we can ensure ones and ones have the information what them need to go forward. So we are going to start off with understanding the foundation from the legal person to the living being. And this is a comprehensive approach to avoid being deported for the living man and woman. So the immigration system operates under the same maritime admiralty framework that converts all men and women into the legal fiction through documentation. So when men and women enter into the United States, they are immediately classified under various statutory categories: legal residents, undocumented person, asylum seeker, rather than being recognized as men and women with inherent rights. So status correction involves reclaiming one's standing as a living being with natural rights that predates and supersedes governmental classification. So if you are not being identified as the person, in other terms, them can't say you is an illegal immigrant. You see it? The biblical foundation with this forward off, and we are use the Bible because you know America have a famous saying, depend the money and couple places well. In God we trust. And the God what them a talk about is the same God who build them system, and that is built on the Christian narrative. So in Genesis 1 verse 27 it declares, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. This divine creation establishes inherent dignity for all men and women that transcends any governmental classification or documentation status. So Acts 5 verse 29 reinforce this principle. We must obey God rather than human beings, establishing divine authority as superior to administrative system. So God law stand over the whole of them governmental organization. Yeah. So the legal foundation or basis of is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 6. And it states that everyone have the right to recognition everywhere as a person or as a man and woman before the law. This international principle recognizing inherent personhood for all men and women independent of governmental documentation or status. The Declaration of Independence establishes the rights are endowed by the Creator, and the Creator is God Himself, not granted by governments, providing fundamental support for natural rights claims. So, the Interpretation Act signifies every single thing we are talking about. The Federal Interpretation Act establishes that words importing the singular include and apply to several persons, parties, or things. Words importing the plural, including the singular. This framework reveals how legal language deliberately obscures the distinction between the living man and woman and the artificial legal entities. Understanding these interpretation rules help men and women to recognize how the statutory language create that a legalese create a presumptions about status And that make them think say, Uno is actually immigrants. You are not immigrants. I know say the algorithm probably not like you when I talk about. So big up the ones them they run and support the life. Said we. You see it? So approaching the system this way, my father, you get for understand what really go on, how you're reaching at the maritime jurisdiction. So immigration law understand the same maritime admiralty process discussed in sovereignty education. When men and women cross the border, because we know a whole heap of people go through Mexico. How much people go to Mexico? How much people push cross go to Mexico? How much people reach a Mexico? How much people cross the border? You know, nobody will cross the border going to Mexico. So they want to reach in the US. Couple people well though. Couple people well, man. So immigration law operates under the water laws, may I tell you now. Maritime or admiralty principles discussed in sovereignty knowledge or sovereignty education, most people might know it as. When the living man and woman them cross the border, they are treated as vessels entering a port. The port is the United States, subjected to admiralty jurisdiction rather than common law protections. You see the pray? So the gold fridges flag in the immigration court signal the maritime jurisdiction, explaining why these proceedings operate differently from criminal courts with different rules and protection. The legal framework behind this, the Immigration and Nationality Act of America operates under Title 8 of the U.S. Code, which governs aliens and nationality. Language that immediately establishes jurisdictional classification for the living man and woman them, understanding that immigration court are administrative tribunals, not a part of Article 3 of the Constitutional Court, and it helps to explain the limited due process protection available in these proceedings for the man and woman. You see me? So we not get no time for protect on yourself or understand what really take place. Alright, we'll go further down in the nice part, because people have to know what really take place. So Trump make some executive orders, them call them administration policies, significantly expanded immigration enforcement priorities beyond traditional criminal removal categories. So one at a time, that basically means one at a time, you did have to do something wrong before you get deported. Now Trump make some executive order and say however one has got to go back to where they belong, to their country, or blah 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 blah, for some reason or another, because it is good for the economy. You see me, and we see say it cause a whole heap of upscale and a whole heap of riots and things going over in the US. You see, pray. Executive orders and policies, memoranda, expanded enforcement to include any man and woman present without documentation, regardless of community ties, family circumstances, or the length of residence. Because a whole heap of people here say them get deported without probable cause. People say them get deported to country where them not even come from. I mean, no say this life now gonna really get pushed, because when me talk about right now, the system no want nobody fear about me, I say. You see me? We see nobody not even there I try push our energy for build the thing or share the thing. But the few people them in the US, we say them want the help, I hope when you can see the video and make something out tight, because we know how the thing go. You see me? The system no want to know for know, the system no want to know for hear. So don't be surprised you see them give you all a flag on this just show we are going with too much information. The system is a fraud, you know. We all know that the system is a fraud, and we have a couple things that we have to talk about said way. But we just give the one them the little assistance so we can give them. You see me? So when Trump in a numerous speeches emphasized mass deportation as a policy priority in the 2024 campaign speeches, he stated, "We will begin the largest deportation operation in America's history," indicating continued emphasis on aggressive enforcement affecting millions of man and woman, regardless of individual circumstances or humanitarian consideration. Administrative processing changes. The Trump administration implemented policies requiring man and woman or people to remain in Mexico during asylum proceedings, ended prosecutorial discretion programs, and terminated temporary protective status for many countries. This is not something that I should be discussing on the live. You see me? We have the step-by-step documentation process. I will just have to run through it quick and fast. So once with the run one part, you can just get this information and run with it, because you know how the sitting go. You probably have to restart the live because we see them bug it already. You see, pray. Them say them know how to talk about this. So step one, you have to obtain the certificate of live birth or a copy of the birth certificate or equivalent documentation from the country. In this case, I'm going to tell you to authenticate the documentation to prove that it is a legitimate security, or you get the certificate of live birth, that is the certificate of manufactured origin from the country where your birth certificate come from. Create an affidavit of living status declaring your existence as a living man or a living woman. Because if you don't do that, they're going to presume that you are a person under the Interpretation Act. And a person basically mean that you are a corporation, a club, a soul, a company, or some business you're operating. So you have to gather 3 witnesses to attest to your living status and community connection over which part you come from in your state or your community where you're there. Then you have to document your family relationship, especially to U.S. citizens or to legal people over there will have standing upon the land. You see it? The required documentation, you are going to need a notarized affidavit of living status. And we have a copy, we have a template of all of them sitting here. So if people, if you want to get them documentation, if you want to know how to get to the certificate of live birth, if you want to know how to authenticate on a birth certificate or apostille on a birth certificate, all of them things that we have from A to Z for you know. So all you have to do is connect with up. You see it? So notarize affidavit of living status with a declaration as a living man or a woman. That are 2 sitting. Witness statement attesting to your character and community ties, your family relationship, blah, 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 blah. The Interpretation Act consideration. When filing affidavit, distinguish between your capacity as a living man or a living woman versus the statutory person. Because the person is always a person, whether a natural person or an artificial person or a legal person. Once it is a person, it is a person. You see the pray? And you go want to sort out couple more documentation. Like your record of life documentation. You have to document all of that. And the affidavit of status and declaration can also serve the purpose same way. So this is a filing details, your debtor in all capital name, secure party name, your collaterals, so you have all accounts, everything were listed in your name. You document everything and transfer it from one place to another place. And no best way for transfer nothing than for dealing a trust. People, I don't like how them freeze up my life. My life is frozen. I say I Sunday morning. But this is not normal. You see me? We have a complete documentation. I have to go save this another time. We have a complete documentation. I'm going to try to tap out and tap in, restart this, and see what I go on. You see me? So once, remember to connect with up. We're going to put this on YouTube, said we. So once you have to get a full in-depth thing, you know, so you can click the link in my bio or go on my website, freenotdumb.com. You see me? I just go jump off and jump on back. We have things to talk about, though. Active.